Clear prop.
All right, and we're back. Terminal Talk Radio, episode 5. Exciting podcast today. We're actually here at Craig Airport. It's also Jacksonville Executive Airport and birthplace of the Blue Angels, believe it or not. Did you know that, Steve?
I did not. Pretty exciting stuff going on out here, though.
It is. There's been quite a bit of traffic. We've been seeing an array of training aircraft, which is great to see. Good for the industry. Got some good pics. We'll be putting those up on the Instagram page along with the Twitter site. And we got some good topics to talk about today. One, to me, is very interesting. I think you all have probably heard about it in the news recently. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about the commercial license and some of the requirements that it takes to go ahead and get that. Steve, you want to touch the base on that for us?
Of course, yeah. So hopefully y'all have been on the website. We've been touching on each license as we go through. Now, this one's going to be the most important for anyone who wants to make a career out of the flying. Basically what you'll be looking at, 250 hours for the commercial license, and this will allow you to start making money for flying. So whether that's something on a large scale with an airline or a company, or just taking compensation for a ride you give your friend or someone, no matter what, if you're making money, you need the commercial license. So most of you, I assume, this would be the ultimate goal to get to at least this point, where you can start, making some money off of it. One thing I wanted to point out is, as you're going through your flight training, as you're, checking the boxes to get everything, keep in mind that no matter how you dice up your training, if you're planning on being a career pilot, you're going to have to spend money to get your first 250 hours at least until you have that commercial license. So don't get too hung up if, it takes you longer to get your private or instrument. It'll kind of even itself out along the way.
Right.
So keep that in mind, especially as you're looking around and shopping, trying to make your ends meet as you're paying for your training. Just keep in mind that until you get to that 250 hours and complete your commercial license, you're going to be paying for that flight training out of pocket and doing it that way.
Also, as a side note, if you're working towards your commercial and trying to keep costs low, you may want to consider getting your initial commercial done in a single. It's usually a little bit more cost effective, and then do a multi-engine add-on later down the road if you're trying to stretch the dollar there. But
that is a good tip to keep in mind. One thing I will mention, we can talk about the multi as well. The multi-engine, there's not a fixed hour requirement for that license, so as quick as you can learn it, the faster that'll go. So like Mike was saying, if you do your commercial training in the single, get all those hiccups out of the way in a single engine where you're spending a little bit less on the airplane rental, it'll make it that much cheaper for you. When you go into a multi, you'll just be learning how to do the multi-engine airplane instead of learning how to do certain approaches and paying for all that per hour on the expensive multi-engine aircraft. So something to keep in mind as you're jumping into it. But like I said, just plan on paying for your first 250 hours no matter how you dice it up, and you'll be set from there. The requirements are on the webpage, so take a look at that. Like I said, the general one is the 250 hours. That's the main obstacle people have, but of that you'll have plenty of opportunity to get the cross-country flying that's required, the certain PIC requirements and all that. So check that out. Definitely go out and do it, make it happen, and we'll try to help out as much as you can. If you do have questions about your flight training or how to complete it, always send us an email, let us know what we can do. We'll help as much as we can.
Exactly, and that's going to be info@flighttrainingterminal.com. But let's get into some more recent news in the aviation industry. I'm sure you've heard about this, Steve, but apparently a couple weeks ago, a woman tried to bring a peacock on a United Airlines flight. And yes, you heard me right, a peacock. Now, she claimed that it was an emotional support animal, and therefore, that was a valid reason for her to have it and bring it with her on her flight. United went ahead and denied that request, understandably so, I would say. Would you not agree?
Yeah. It's pretty funny, the stuff you see on the news, and this story definitely gave me a laugh, seeing the picture of it there in the terminal. I don't know really what she was thinking, I mean, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that is a real support animal.
It
seemed like she was just fishing for some publicity, though.
You're too kind.
Making that request.
I mean, I think this goes beyond emotional support issues here. We're starting to talk about some other potential issues, and wow, I mean, the last time I saw a live peacock, it was at the Philadelphia Zoo, and they were just annoying and roaming around, bothering the guests. So when I heard that someone actually had the audacity to try and bring one on an aircraft, I just, it's funny, we laugh at it, but another thing is, where do we draw the line and say, what's an emotional support animal? Because, I mean, obviously dogs, they're the typical norm. And, I mean, even then, I recently read an article of a gentleman getting bit by one of the dogs on an American flight, and he had to have stitches and everything.
I think that was a Delta
Was
article.
it?
I was just going to mention that story.
Okay.
Yeah. So going along with the support animal, a man brings a dog on a Delta flight, and the dog attacks the passenger sitting next to him. I mean, where's the line there of people's boundaries, people's rights as passengers, that don't have animals or don't have that.
Exactly.
Definitely bringing up some issues in the airline policies right now.
Where do you put the individual concern and need over the overall well-being of the entire aircraft? It's a tight line to walk, but these airlines are going to have to figure it out. And I mean, the unfortunate thing is there's probably a lot of passengers that have valid reasons and do need them. And I think, like the Peacock person, they're kind of ruining it and giving the whole community a black eye for no reason, which is disappointing. But it's definitely something that's going to need to be addressed. And, just when you think we're done hearing about these things, 2 days ago, you turn on the news, Spirit Airlines. Apparently, a lady decided to try and flush her hamster down the toilet. Spirit claims they never told her to do that, and I tend to agree. I wasn't there, but I have a hard time.
Well, I think that one was a similar setup where they get to the airport, they're there with the animal. Do you fly or do you stay? It's unlike the Peacock lady. This lady wanted to fly, unfortunately, at the expense of the old hamster.
Yeah, it's just wrong. I mean, we're joking. We're joking because of just the outrageousness of the whole situation. But I mean, that's wrong. You shouldn't be doing that or treating animals in that way just because you're trying to fly. But bringing this up, talking about these stories here, I actually wrote a little article. We're trying to maybe get some blog posts out on the website, so be on the lookout for those articles, and hopefully we'll start producing a lot more stories for you guys to even read whenever you're free, as well as listen to the podcast and checking out the Twitter accounts. And Steve, what other accounts do we have? I feel like we've got a million now.
Facebook, the Instagram. We're trying to kind of get everyone on every level. So definitely keep us posted with stories you want to hear about, maybe issues you've had with your flight training, things that we can help out with, explain, and maybe save someone else from going through anything difficult that way. So yeah, we're happy to help out. We want to get everyone on every different level. So yeah, be looking out for the blog posts. We'll start adding those soon to the website, flighttrainingterminal.com, and y'all can keep up with that. And
in other recent news, we have Elon Musk, champion in pretty much every industry he puts his hands on. Taking the Falcon Heavy rocket and blasting it off into space, along with a Tesla Roadster, mind you.
Convertible.
So he's literally taking his company to the moon. Not a lot of people say that metaphorically. He's doing it in reality.
It's been pretty funny if you've seen on YouTube. They have the live feed. They have a dummy in there.
I know.
You can watch it swinging around in orbit.
It's pretty wild. And I'm just excited to see, what progress we continue to make there in the future, because, if anyone can do it, I've kind of got a lot of confidence in this Elon Musk guy right now of taking people and having regular routine trips to the moon. Who knows? Maybe Mars. I don't know. I don't put anything past this guy anymore.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think there is some momentum there, and he's probably the one to do it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And
I mean, in aviation, you know, you got to have big dreams, and he's a big dreamer. And
it's true.
You know, it's just taking the time and figuring it out and making things work. So we're headed in the right direction, folks. The moon may be in our grasp, but regular vacation travel in the next 20 to 30 years. Future.
I think I did read an article that someone did put a deposit down already. I can't remember if it was to the moon or to the Mars, but pretty funny.
Must have been Richard Branson and Virgin Galactic.
But pretty cool stuff. And I mean, if nothing else, they should at least try to start the car up there and see what happens. Hey. See how reliable it is. I feel like they could get an award if they could run a car in space.
Oh man, I can only imagine what that would do to Tesla sales.
Yeah, I would buy one.
I'd buy two. But
all right, well, that concludes this episode of Terminal Talk Radio. We're glad that you were here, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.